like it's going to be 4 to 5 months, which would put that, well after the Royal Rumble. So I would think if you're going to see Scott Steiner, it's probably going to be around March or April at the earliest, around WrestleMania time. Okay?
All right, thank you.
Thanks for the phone call. Appreciate that. Hop on board at 866-910-WPFB. A couple of other news notes to get into. Last week, Steve Corino, the NWA World Champion, announced that he was going to be hanging up the boots, saying that his 15 minutes was up and it just wasn't fun anymore. Then he sends out another release saying that he is, quote, honored to be the NWA World Champion and has given his word that he will not retire with the championship. If it takes another year, I'll do it. Don't expect me to drop the world title anytime soon. Then he says, well, I can't predict the future and never rule out that I may return one day, but until then, thanks. And I might do the occasional overseas tour. Well, that's not retiring. Retiring means you are done.
Well, maybe he found a new babysitter. Maybe that's what it was. Well, the guy's a single parent. That's rough. I'm a single parent. I know how rough that is.
Yeah, but it's the same.
And then to be going from town to town with him. The guy, he's a real good dad too. I've watched him. He's actually, I really respect him for what he does, and I'm sure that played a lot into it as far as why he wanted to get out.
There will be an auction tomorrow in Chicago, Illinois, to decide what will become of WOW Magazine. The magazine, which is owned by H&S Media, has not been published because the parent company, H&S, has filed bankruptcy. The auction block price for WOW Magazine is a minimum $675,000. So if you've ever dreamed about having your own wrestling magazine, you might want to head up to Chicago tonight and be there tomorrow. Take your checkbook with you. But you, too, could have WOW Magazine.
Wow.
Hulk Hogan will now be the featured superstar in the upcoming... hello, let's do this again. Hulk Hogan will be the upcoming...
Take two.
Thank you. Take three now. Hulk Hogan will be the featured superstar and the official spokesperson for the upcoming video game Legends of Wrestling from Acclaim Entertainment. The video game will be out on PlayStation 2 in November. Other superstars featured in the game include Bret the Hitman Hart, Jerry the King Lawler, George the Animal Steel, Jimmy Superfly Snuka, the Road Warriors, Ricky Steamboat, Terry Funk, King Kong Bundy, and Rob Van Dam. He's already a legend.
I've done a little reading up on this game.
Yeah.
And all I can say is if you do go out and buy this game, do not pick the Iron Sheik because it takes the game time slows down.
Just him getting to the ring.
Yeah, exactly. You have to have at least 2 hours for that.
Apparently, they signed Rob Van Dam before he made contractual obligations to the World Wrestling Federation. That's how they were able to get him. Sabu is also in the game. They also came to an arrangement with the estate of the late Brian Pillman. Brian Pillman will also be in the game, both as Flying Brian Pillman and the Loose Cannon. So, and we will be having copies of that game to give away to you here on the Wrestling Guys radio show on AM 910 WPFB. Let's talk a little bit about Chris Adams. Over the weekend, we told you at the top of the show that he was shot and killed in Dallas and Waxahachie. It's amazing how many of these guys died tragically and have had, these horrific endings, through their career and through their life, and it's amazing.
I know you touched on that on one of the hotline reports that you did about, how this, was it cursed? It was world-class, a cursed position, sort of like the way that the Poltergeist movie was cursed, and
Saturday Night Live.
I don't know.
You take a look at what world-class was like 85, 86. You had Kerry Von Erich, David Von Erich, Chris Von Erich, Mike Von Erich. All four of those guys died. David Von Erich was the first one to die. He died of a bacterial infection in Japan, stomach infection. Kerry Von Erich commits suicide after being in a motorcycle accident where he lost his foot. He continued his career but had drug and alcohol problems. The day after he committed suicide, he was scheduled to go to court on a drug possession charge, which would have violated his probation, which more than likely would have resulted in jail time. That's the reason why many people feel like he committed suicide. Mike Von Erich, suffering toxic shock syndrome, something that women get from misuse of tampons. How a man gets this disease, it's unheard of. He goes through that, survives that, makes a return to wrestling, and he ends up committing suicide. Chris Von Erich, the youngest Von Erich, commits suicide. Gino Hernandez, Chris Adams' tag team partner in 1986, overdoses on cocaine. Junkyard Dog was a performer down in World Class. He dies in a car accident. Bruiser Brody, murdered in Puerto Rico, 1988. Rick Rude dies of a drug overdose 2 years ago. Terry Gordy dies earlier this year of a heart attack. You look at this, and now Chris Adams. Somebody, I don't know who they ticked off down there, but somebody didn't like them too well. And the one thing I've heard is that, quite simply, that Fritz Von Erich, who ran the territory, did not have a good grasp on the locker room, just basically let these guys run wild. Jim Cornette told stories about Kerry Von Erich just, and some of the others down there just, acting odd, being, with the drugs and everything else, and that they weren't able to handle the success, and eventually that really ruined wrestling in Dallas for a long, long time.
Yeah, well, absolutely it did.
And Cornette said it was like wrestling was looked upon the same way people looked at the Ferris wheel operator at a carnival. It's just something you didn't want to get close to. 866-910-WPFB. Let's go to the phone lines. Andy's on the Wrestling Guys on AM 910 WPFB. How are you?
Hey, doing pretty good. How you guys doing?
Good.
I just wanted to know, who is your early prediction for the 2002 Royal Rumble winner?
Oh, geez. I have no clue. There's, we don't know what the storylines are going to be like up to that point. If you go with the premise that they're going to, that the winner of the Royal Rumble is going to go to WrestleMania, which maybe he does, maybe he doesn't. You never know what kind of swerve they're going to do. I still think WrestleMania next year is the year The Rock finally ends the WrestleMania curse. I haven't heard anything, behind the scenes to back this up. That's just a gut feeling I have, is that the last, 3 years, The Rock's been the main event at WrestleMania and lost. Mm-hmm. So I think they're going to play up that storyline. Can The Rock win the big one? And he will win WrestleMania next year. And maybe it's a title unification. Maybe that's when they do it. Who knows?
That's very possible.
Because I really think it would be kind of a shame for them to make off and win the Rumble for like the 5th time if they did that this year. So I hope they don't go that route with it. But
Austin hasn't won the Rumble 5 years in a row.
Well, I mean, he's won it like 4 or 5 times now, or 3 or 4 times now. So.
Yeah, I'd have to look it up. Maybe 3 times, but that's my gut feeling. And again, you never know what they're going to have up their sleeve. They could have, Vince McMahon could win it again and somehow, drop the stipulation or drop the spot off to The Rock. You never know. I still think they're going to do a Royal Rumble sometime in the next year or two, like they did when Ric Flair won the World Wrestling Federation title. The title will be held up at some point and put the championship on the line in the Royal Rumble. It kind of gets stale with the same, the winner of the Royal Rumble goes to WrestleMania. I think they're trying to do something to switch that around a little bit.
All right, thanks, guys. It's good to hear you back, Billy.
Hey, thanks a lot.
That's your fan.
Yeah. That's my one.
That's your fan.
That's my one fan.
You got one.
I have one.
You have one.
Well, I have you, too.
Well, you always have me. Wrestling Guys hotline available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 937-285-0991. Again, our toll-free number is 866-910-9732. And also, you can email us if you would like, the Wrestling Guys at AOL.com. We're going to go ahead and take a break. When we come back, we are scheduled to have Brian Adams join us on the Wrestling Guys here on the station at the part of your life.
910-8.
WPFB. I'm Shawn Stidham. Willie F. is here as well. Toll-free number, 866-910-WPFB. And also, you can reach us by email at thewrestlingguys@AOL.com. Joining us right now on the Celebrity Hotline, how many different tag teams has this guy been in? Demolition, Chronic, also a part of, being a part of WCW.
The DOA.
DOA.
Yeah.
A little bit of everything. Brian Adams joins us on the Wrestling Guys. Brian, how you doing?
Good. How you doing, Shawn?
Doing just fine. You can say hi to Willie, too. He'll get upset if you don't.
Willie, what's up?
Hey, what's up, Brian?
I didn't know you were there.
I'm the silent minority.
How'd you like the show last night?
It was good.
Good.
It was very good.
Hey, Brian, let's go ahead and talk about, right now you're currently down in the Heartland Wrestling Association, and from all reports, I know OneWrestling.com had a story about it earlier today, is right now you are being perceived down there as just a great guy, that you've come down there, you've really helped out with interviews, and really been a great positive force behind the scenes. Kind of makes you feel good.
Those are all lies. I want you to know that right now.
You have to read the sheets to find out who he really is.
Exactly. Now, on the flip side of that, 2 weeks ago you were a hated guy with a bad attitude. This week you're a great guy. So, what's the true Brian Adams?
Depends what personality you're talking to.
So you're like split personality.
What medication I'm on?
You're stable.
My doctor.
Gotcha.
No. Actually, I'll tell you, I'm hopefully this won't get back to the office, but I'm having a great time down here. I don't know if I'm supposed to or not, but these guys that are the developmental guys, and as well the guys that aren't under contract, the young and up and coming superstars of our business. These guys are down here. I've never seen so much just hunger and he's got desire, and passion for the business. I mean, it makes somebody like myself more than happy to help out. I mean, it's and it's getting me motivated too to help them out. They're getting me, pretty psyched up about the business again. It's working both ways.
Did you have some skepticism a couple weeks ago, like it was reported, when the office first said we would like you to go down and work for HWA for a little while? Did you initially balk at that, or what was the true story of that?
Well, more than skepticism, I think I was a little bit, for somebody like myself who's been in the business as long as I have been, to be asked to do something like that, initially your first reaction is like you're getting sent to the minors, so to speak.
Right.
I wasn't sure exactly what I was being punished for, if I was being punished, or if they thought I needed to work in certain areas. But regardless, I didn't show a lot of skepticism. At least I don't believe I did. But personally, there was some. But then when I got here and realized what was going on here and the role that I'd be playing here, I mean, it turned everything around for me, and it's really turned into a positive. I'm having a great time working with these kids, and I call them kids because they're quite a bit younger than me, but of course, some are in their 20s and so forth. But no, it's been a very positive experience for me. Just the week I've been here, I'm sort of going back to basics myself. I don't know if you're aware of this or not, but I trained myself in Japan, lived there for a year in the dojo, and a lot of the basics that I did learn, the fundamentals I learned, I'd pretty much forgotten, pretty much because of the way the business started, becoming, as well as the style I wrestled, because, mostly because of my size and so forth. But it's fun to get down there, go get back to basics, and have these, the younger up-and-coming talent come up and ask me questions that are legitimate questions that are concerns for their future and to help improve their style of work as well as their ability. And I'm glad to help out. I mean, it's really been a rush for me.
Yeah, I don't think it's been, so much a punishment as it's been an opportunity. They want you, like you've been in business now, 13, 14 years. They want you to use that knowledge, and you have a great way of delivering that knowledge and what you've been through and delivering that and explaining that to these guys who have only been in the business maybe a year, not even that long, and kind of getting them ready for what, more or less, what the real world is going to be like for them.
Yeah, I'm glad to do that. I'm glad to do that, especially because they show me, right away they show me a lot of respect. I've always had pretty decent respect in the dressing room for the most part, but they're coming up to me, whether it was their schooling or their upbringing, these guys got a ton of respect, and that's important to me because they're coming to me somewhat humble and hungry, and my God, man, you want to talk about talent. I've never seen so much talent in one room. I got no reason to blow smoke, for anybody, but just to look around in those rings. I say rings. There's two of them at the training facility there, and watch what these guys are doing in there is just it's astounding. To see the talent out there. Now they got to take that talent, take their ability, and apply it to the match to where it makes sense. And that's where I can help. I can't go out there and do some of these crazy bumps they're doing physically, but I can certainly, I think, give them some direction, as to psychology and so forth. And they keep coming to me and asking me. As long as they keep doing that, I'd be glad to help them because they're a bunch of great guys.
We're talking to Brian Adams on the Wrestling Guys on AM 910 WPFB. Brian, let me ask you, do you see this as a way for you to stay in the business? I mean, obviously you only can stay as an active wrestler for so long. Now that you're working on the teaching of young wrestlers, and also I know you've expressed an interest in working, maybe doing some booking and doing some other things. Mm-hmm. Do you see this as a way, as more of like an education for yourself, a learning experience for yourself, learning these skills at this level so that down the line, you'll be able to stay in the World Wrestling Federation or another national company for the rest of your life?
I really can't give you an honest answer on that. And I know it sounds like I'm avoiding the question, but this is kind of falling into my lap. And obviously, I know and I do realize, mostly because of physical reasons, I'm on the, towards the end of my career to some degree, whether I got a couple of years, 3 years left in the actively wrestling in the ring. Not that I couldn't go a little longer if I wanted to, but, I want to be able to, play with my children and have a normal life when I do walk away from the business. At least I hope I can. As far as using this as a tool to maybe open some more doors. Is that your question?
Yeah, and basically, is this becoming a learning experience for you as far as doing things behind the scenes that maybe you haven't had the opportunity to really do yet?
It most definitely is. I've dabbled here and there. I helped book a little bit in Portland, Oregon. I lived up there, and well, you know, I took a little time off after Demolition. I took a little time off here and there, and while I was taking time off, Vince allowed me to participate in the weekend shows they had up there at the time for Don Owens. And I was dabbling a little bit with the booking at that time, and then also even at WCW and WWF before I left. You know, it would help out with certain angles and finishes and stuff, but I never would sit down and go over the entire card from top to bottom, which is sort of what I'm doing now. Not that I'm putting the show together by no means, but I'm giving input on, you know, several of the matches, and it's challenging. It's a hell of a lot more work than I ever thought it was, but it's compelling, and I enjoy it. I'm not really sure, you know, if this is something I want to do in the future permanently. I'm enjoying it right now, and I'm just going to kind of take it one step at a time and see how it goes.
We're talking to Brian Adams on the Wrestling Guys on AM 910 WPFB. Question off email from Rolar. I love email names. Rolar. How did you...
Is that a wrestling name?
It may be. You might want to use it in the next booking meeting.
He's the Lord of the Rings, I think.
Question is, Brian, how did you like the time you spent in Demolition? Why did they all of a sudden disappear from the World Wrestling Federation? And do you talk to Bill or Barry Darsow still?
First question, I loved it. It was, I'd been in the business probably, I guess about 3 years at that point, maybe 2.5 years or something like that. It was my first break into the WWF. I could not have asked for a better pair of guys to be paired up with. Not only did the gimmick suit me very well, my work style and my look and everything, but Barry Darsow and Bill Eadie were just incredible veterans as far as knowing the business, giving me advice. They were not selfish at all. You know, of course, I traveled with them. You know, we you know, trained together, stayed at, you know, same hotels and so forth and so on, and good road buddies, good friends. I mean, it was all a positive experience. The reason why it came to an end, oh gosh dang it, this is going way back, but part of the reason, I don't want to seem too vague on this, but part of the reason was I think Bill and Barry wanted to take a shot in Japan for a while, and they're thinking about going up there, and I think at the last minute Barry decided to stay, so they were going to break up Demolition for the most part.
Well, that ended up being a pretty good, actually, move for you career-wise, because that allowed you to go on with the singles push, and I think, if I remember correctly, you went on to win the Intercontinental title once or twice. It really was a good time for you, too.
It did, and there's opportunities there. I didn't take full advantage of it, unfortunately. I think I was a little complacent at the time. I was relying more on my size and strength. I was a little bit naive back then as far as what it took to get a real break in the business. I thought I had, you know, I'm not saying I quit learning, but I was getting kind of comfortable with what I had, and I think it kind of costed me. I kind of stayed around middle card. I did have a couple Intercontinental matches. I never did win a strap, though, to be honest with you. I was on pay-per-view for the strap with Shawn Michaels, which was a pleasure to work with, and went on to do an angle with Dwayne the Clown, if you remember that.
I remember that. Actually, that started in Dayton with King of the Ring. I think you had a couple matches there.
You could be correct. You could be correct.
I don't expect you to remember every match you've ever had.
Yeah, but after Dwayne the Clown, I was kind of fed up with being a baby face, and I asked if I could go back to being a heel, and they said sure. And I actually took a little time off then when worked at Portland for a little while. Taking several breaks in the business.
Right.
By the way, some voluntarily and some not. But I went back to Portland and wrestled there for a little while. Still under contract with WWF. They'd always taken pretty decent care of me on that end, but came back as a heel and probably had one of my favorite angles of all time, which was against Randy Savage.
Yeah, the ball count anyway.
About, good grief. We got about 6 months out of that angle, which is, you know, it doesn't happen very often nowadays in the business, but we were able to drag it out for about 6 months. We got a pay-per-view, I believe, out of it, and a WrestleMania along with several you know, not just stateside tours, but overseas tours. But it was just, I learned a lot from Randy as far as work and just, you know, and working with somebody that over was certainly a thrill, too.
Another question off email from Sheldon. About 2 years ago, you portrayed the Kiss Demon, then suddenly Del Toro got it. What happened? First of all, was that a good experience for you, being the Demon? There's been a lot of ridicule about that on the internet. Did you enjoy it personally?
I didn't really get an opportunity to sink my teeth into it. It was, I'll be honest with you, it was a huge disappointment, and I'll tell you why. When I was asked to do the gimmick by Eric Bischoff, he was promised me the push of a lifetime. I mean, both financially and politically and, whatever that means. But, I mean, they literally put $500,000 into that gimmick. I mean, I was at this special effects place having the costume made. They made a mold of my entire body, and that big casket thing. They paid Kiss an outrageous amount of money to come perform in the opening, the debut of the Demon character.
Was it true, and I don't know if you'll know this or not, but was it true that Kiss actually in the contract got 100% of all merchandising and royalties from that gimmick?
Now, I don't know that to be 100% true because I've never seen a contract, but I've heard that. And they did tell me going into the character that I wouldn't be making a lot of royalty money. But,
Gotcha.
On the flip side of my, the pay increases were unlimited. With a push I was promised, the sky was the limit, basically. And, I debuted the character. It was going all right. I came out one more time. I came out twice as the Demon. And then Eric was let go or taken out of creative control, I should say. He wasn't fired, but moved to another department. So he's no longer in charge. And, the new booking committee discussed what angles they were going to keep, what characters they're going to keep. And Demon was not one of them. And that's where I heard the rumor about what you just said about the merchandising. Mm-hmm. Just from a business standpoint, it makes sense to not push a character and have all the money, or at least a good chunk of it stay with the company, for Christ's sake, especially if you're going to push it this hard. There's rumors of royalties going for every time the song was played and, the name was used. It was just like I said, I've never actually seen the contract with my own eyes, so it's all just hearsay. But I believe there was a lot of truth to that, and that was a big part of the reason why they pulled the plug. Obviously, there was a strong reason for it because they did put a lot of money into this gimmick, and for them not to go with it just didn't make sense. So basically, I got a phone call from J.J. Dillon, and he said, Brian, here's what's going to happen to Demon. Unfortunately, we're not going with him, period. And at first I was like, well, I could make him work, if you give me a little opportunity. I believe it was a little similar to Demolition, although it was, maybe not the right period in professional wrestling to get a gimmick like that over, because of the change of times and stuff. But I thought, under the right circumstances, it's worth a try anyways. I'm not doing anything else. But then he goes, you don't understand what I'm saying. We're not going with him, period, and we don't want to waste your talent on this. And he goes, we'll leave you in it if you want to, but we'll give you the opportunity to get out of it. And I said, well, that being said, as quickly as possible. And I actually recommended Del Toro because he was passionate about the gimmick, and they did a lot of makeup and so forth, using him as a model.
Cause he was a legitimate Kiss nut too.
Fanatic.
Yeah, exactly.
And a hell of a guy too. I've always really liked Dale, and for him it was a great opportunity because they weren't doing anything with him. He never had a break, period. So whether they were going to go all the way with it or not, it still meant TV time, a lot of matches, being on the road, and for Dale at that particular time was something he could use, which to me at that particular time didn't mean anything to me.
Yeah, but just think, if you would have stayed with the gimmick, you could have been with the Houston Astros right now.
Oh, what was that?
Yeah. If you would have stayed with the gimmick, you could have been with the Houston Astros right now.
Or Montreal. That's where Dale's
working. That's right, Montreal.
That's where Dale's working.
His dad got him that job.
Yeah.
As bad as people talk about WCW, I think the Montreal Expo situation might be a little bit worse.
It might be.
You might be right.
Let me ask you, have you had a chance to talk to Brian Clark? What's his future look like? Any insight on that?
Touchy subject.
Sure.
Simply because he's a very, very, very good friend of mine. He's actually, I don't know if he's being straight with me or not. He told me they have not called him to come down here or go back up there. so he's just kind of put on the shelf right now.
Gotcha.
Which is kind of, I'm being as honest as possible. I'm not making anything up. It's just whether he's not telling me something, which I doubt, he just they're not talking to him period right now, which is probably not good.
He's kind of in limbo, really.
Definitely in limbo, and it's kind of strange that they would send me here and not him. It's just, I don't know. There's a lot of unanswered questions in this whole scenario, but I gotta be honest with you, I'm having a great time.
That's a good thing, is that you're making the best out of the situation, having a great time doing it. I know everybody down there has, again, just raved about your attitude and your expertise, and they love the fact you're down there, and it's good to have you around the area.
They're a bunch of damn liars. I'm gonna kick some ass tomorrow.
Brian, you got shows coming up with the HWA, this weekend in Batavia at the Red Barn? Is that Saturday?
Yeah,
that's absolutely correct. Yeah, Saturday. Yeah. You can be there, Willie?
Yeah, I will be there.
All right.
I think I might be there.
I don't know, Brian. That's up to you now, maybe.
We have a big show in Dayton coming up.
Yeah, November 14th.
This is going to be our first time there.
Yeah, November 14th at the Montgomery County Fairgrounds. It's a Wednesday night. And then also you've got the television show every Saturday night at midnight on Fox 45. So a lot going on with the HWA. Nice to have you as a part of it.
Thanks a lot.
All right, Brian Adams, thank you very much. Join us again sometime.
All right, take care, fellas.
All right, take care. Brian Adams. We are late for a break. More when we come back on the Wrestling Guys.
On 910 AM WPFB.
Back on the Wrestling Guys, AM 910 WPFB. Shawn Stidham along with Willie up. Let's go to the phone. Talk to Casey. Welcome back to the Wrestling Guys on AM 910 WPFB.
Hey, how you guys doing?
Good.
I was wanting to ask you guys if you knew if Foley was coming back to be commissioner of WWF or whatever since Regal went bad.
Yes, we do know.
Yes, we do know. And no, we can't tell you.
You can't tell me?
No. Let's just put it to you this way. It seems that Mick Foley comes back every time that he has a book come out, and he has a book that just came out.
Halloween Hijinks, and we will tell you, Linda McMahon has an announcement about the commissionership on SmackDown this week.
So there you go. Without us spoiling it, put two and two together.
All right.
Thanks, Casey.
A question real quick.
Sure. Yeah, I'm sorry.
Is one of you guys Brock Gussman from the HWA?
I don't know. I'm not. Are you Brock Gussman?
I can't comment on it.
You can't comment?
I can't.
One of you guys were Brock Gussman.
They say that we look an awful lot alike.
Yeah, I thought you guys sound an awful lot alike.
No, well, I don't know. I mean, good for him, I guess.
Thanks, Casey. That's been one of those nasty rumors.
It has been.
You and Brock Gussman are like the same person, or related in some way, or
I don't know.
Life partner. I don't know.
Anyway, it's been a hell ever since he came into the area.
Upcoming shows, obviously, we talked about the HWA this weekend. They're at the Red Barn in Batavia. Yeah. Also, if you are or you want to make the drive over to Jeffersonville, Indiana, you can check out their TV taping this Sunday. All information available at hwaonline.com, as well as information about their upcoming show Wednesday night, November the 14th at the Montgomery County Fairgrounds. You can expect all of the big names, D'Lo Brown, Val Venus, all of the guys that are in the area at the time from the WWF.
And you never know who else.
They're also planning on having, we can go ahead and talk about this, HWA Championship has been held up.
Yes,
due to
you'll see that on TV this Saturday.
And there's a tournament now in place for the HWA title. The semifinals and the finals will take place on that Wednesday night, November the 14th at the Montgomery County Fairgrounds. Other shows in the area, October 27th, Outlaw Championship Wrestling is back at the John Bryant Community Center in Yellow Springs. Details available at 937-229-8189 on the same night. And I'm not sure if this show's still happening. I haven't heard yet. Violent Championship Wrestling was planning a show in Piqua at the National Guard Armory. The reason I say that, I know there's a lot of armories that have forced cancellations due to the current situations going on in the world. So I haven't heard any cancellations, so I'm assuming that show is still on. For details, you can go see violentchampionshipwrestling.com. Also, OCW has a show going back to them, playing it also for November 17th at the Burkhart Center in Dayton. And that's all the information we have on shows at this time. If you want to leave us details, you can email the Wrestling Guys at AOL.com or leave us a message on our hotline, the Wrestling Guys hotline, 937-285-0991.
Well, and also, don't forget that you have Tuesday, October 30th, you have SmackDown.
Yes.
SmackDown in Cincinnati. And
that's kind of a big one, I forgot.
Yeah.
That's why I need you here, you're the backup.
To pull those out, and very possible, but, we don't have any confirmation of this, that there may be a book signing.
There could be. Keep your fingers crossed.
Yes.
Also, a couple of other notes for you. A couple of more ECW home videos and DVDs are going to be released. The Best of the Dudley Boys, ECW, and the Best of Mick Foley in the ECW, Cactus Jack in ECW, are going to be released October the 23rd. An excellent lineup as far as what is planned on both the video and the DVD.
You know, for a company that is now not around anymore, I have to firmly say that those videos and DVDs are like the best stuff that's out on the market right now as far as wrestling goes.
And they're all production.
I don't want to take anything away from the WWF. I do like a lot of their stuff, but the way that they're packaged it, you know, and the way and their selection of matches on a lot of stuff. You know, I'm not much for pay-per-views, like, you know, buying those, but it's the compilation ones that ECW has come out with are really outstanding. Some of the top matches from ECW.
And a quick story to leave you with. Why, I don't know, but it was funny to me. Vince McMahon naked. A story on PWTorch.com, and it was sent in by Derek Bates. He writes the following, quote, Tuesday morning on a local radio morning show in Davenport, Iowa, they sent someone to the Rock's hotel room with some donuts. They knocked on his door, but he didn't answer. They moved on to Vince McMahon's room. Before they got there, the maid told them that Vince just came out to pick up the paper and that he was naked.